All right, so let's continue with the topic which we have left for lesson number 5 with subqueries, which was inline views. So inline views is also one of the very interesting topic here. It's same like subqueries, but the only difference with subqueries and inline view is subqueries we write it to subset our outer query result, or we write it with your either with your where clause or with your having clause, correct? But when it comes to inline view, why it's called an inline view, we'll see it in upcoming topic. But when it is an inline view, think that it is actually a query and it is written in your from clause. Instead of writing it in where or in a having clause, we write a query in a from clause. Okay, so how it works and how it will produce the result, that's what we'll see it in detail. So we'll create and use an inline views. We'll use inline views and subqueries to simplify coding a complex query. Now understand the scenario. It's telling list all active sales department employees who have annual salaries significantly lower, which is less than 95% than the average salary for everyone with the same job title. Understand, list
Sorry,
all
Ashwini,
say,
I'm interrupting you.
yeah,
But
yeah.
last time we decided that one chapter we didn't finish from, right? We didn't complete it, right?
This one only
This
in
is
line.
this
This
is the
one
only
only.
that topic,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
inline views.
okay,
It
okay.
was
Sorry.
inline views, yeah,
Okay.
because we have completed last time sixth lesson, and this
Hmm.
is actually fifth lesson. See,
Okay, okay,
and
okay.
we had
Got it.
just completed subqueries. We did not complete inline views.
Inline view.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
got
that
it.
is what we are going with inline views. Okay. So this scenario is it's telling list all active sales department employees who have annual salaries significantly lower, which is 95% less than the average salary of everyone with the same job title. So see, you have sales representative one. This is the average job title and this is the annual pay. Okay, so we have sales representative, same group of employees. See, it's sales representative one. So it's that's what it's telling. Active means those who are still working with the organization. Only those people from sales department, the employees who have annual salaries significantly lesser than the average job title or job salaries for each sales representative one. So for each sales representative one, this is the average job salary, and among them this is overall average individual compared to this average how less they are earning. So it's nearly less than 95% who are earning with average. Okay, so this is with sales representative one. So understand, it's this is the result with something with the same table you are querying. You're getting the average, you're comparing that average for the same table with sales representative one. Understand the scenario, okay, what is happening. So what it is doing, step one, you are going to calculate average salaries for active employees in sales department grouped by job title. So you write the same query with this organization payroll and organization data. Okay, employee payroll and organization. Why organization? Because this organization you are comparing with the sales department people with overall payroll, because payroll has salary, organizations has your job titles. Okay, hence you will be joining this two table and you are giving this alias and you are joining on the basis of id, and you are also telling those who are still working with the organization, hence that term date is missing, and department you are working only for the sales, and you're grouping by job title. So what we are going to get the output is job title and its average salary. So this is what you get the report. So only for sales department, this is the job titles and this is their overall average salaries. All right, so this is the first step. Fine, I hope this code is clear.
Yeah.
Okay, Meena.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what we get with the first step output, which is average salaries for each job title for only sales department. Okay, that is why we had used department is sales. All right. Next thing what we have to do now, it's telling setup for the poll. Now question is, can this select statement be used as a subquery?
Yes, I think we can, right?
But subquery, what is the prerequisite of subquery? That it should query
And
only single column.
Yeah,
Here
single
you have two columns,
columns.
yeah.
so you cannot use it as a
Yeah.
subquery.
Mm-hmm.
Hence, can this select can be used as subquery? Answer is no,
No.
because this
Okay.
query must return values from single column, but you are querying two columns, which is job
Mm-hmm.
title and average salary.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what it's telling now. Hence, we can use this query as an inline view. So an inline view is query expression which you write as a select statement. So query expression means obviously your select statement that resides in a from clause. It acts as a virtual table used in place of physical table in a query. Ideally in your from clause we give your physical table name as you have seen here. See, you write a physical table, correct? Which is existing table.
Yes.
Agreed? But instead of writing in your from clause a physical table, you write a query in your from clause, and that query is called inline view. So what will happen? This query will execute and it will create a virtual table. So when we say it's a virtual table, it means in the memory a temporary table is created. There is no physical table. And there is a keyword for this temporary virtual, or we call this as in memory, the table which is created, we call it as view. And because this view is created while processing your query as in your from clause, it's while your query is processing, this virtual table is created, therefore it's telling inline view. Got it now? Why it is called inline view? And view is nothing but it's just instructions on the table to be created, but no physical table. Instructions for a table to be created. That means this table. So the result which we are getting it here, it's going to be this result will be act as a virtual table. So how this table is created? These are the instructions. Are you getting it? So view is nothing but instructions on a table or a virtual table to be created. Hence, it's called as a view. You only view it, you cannot see the physical table. How a virtual table has to be created? By this code on executing, it will create a virtual table. So there won't, you are using in this physical table, but this is not going to be used as a physical table, but the result of this will be used as a virtual table. Are you getting it now? So
Yeah, but
view,
there
when you
should be
get
some data set na, that we
yeah,
need.
yeah. Input from a clause or your input source has to be physical table, but we
Hmm.
are using this report output as a table as an input source for a other query.
Okay, the first we run this query, then we'll use this query as a in.
Absolutely. That is why if you have seen this, where was it? Sorry. What it was telling, inline view query. So what it's telling, it's actually a select clause which you write in a from clause. So your this view will get executed first and it will create a virtual table, and that table acts as an input source for this select in your from clause. Got it?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. It seems to be confusing, but it's actually very simple if you understand that as in subqueries, it was actually querying the subquery and it was passing on the result, correct? But
Mm.
there you was querying only one column at a time. But here you have the ability to query more than one column because it is going to create as a virtual table in the memory. And that table is been passed on as an from clause as if it is a existing physical table.
Okay. So whenever we have more than one table, that time we can use this option.
One column
Not column,
or
table,
table.
table. Yeah.
No, table
A
is a different
column, column.
concept. I'm
Yeah.
talking about a query which is querying more than one column
For
and you want to use
subquerying the
it
columns.
Okay, okay.
subquery. Okay.
Mm.
So it's telling an inline view is a query expression, that is your select statement which you write in your from clause. Understand the statement. I'm writing it in a from clause. See, earlier normally, so when we are into this, okay, so this was your set operators earlier. All right. Okay, so normally see how you are writing this. You are writing a select statement. You are using a physical table which is existing, and where it is existing in your Orion library. And what is this Orion library? It's nothing but this all tables which is in this folder,
Mm.
in this path. Correct?
Mm.
Agreed?
Yeah,
So this table is there.
correct.
This table is already there. This table is already there.
Mm.
But what they are trying to tell in the slide is that your inline view is a concept where you write a query in your from clause.
Yeah, instead of that table name.
Yes, instead of a table name, you give a query. And therefore, it's called as inline view because that query will execute. And
Mm.
this is what it is telling. This query will execute. And this query result, it's giving you this result.
That table. Mm.
Yes, so this result it will work as a table for
Correct.
your from clause, which is for your outer query. See? So what you're writing now, step 2, match each employee to job title group and compare the employee salary to the group's average to determine whether it is less than 95% of the group average. So see, first you're writing employee name as per your business requirement, job
Mm.
title, salary, okay? And you're writing job average. Fine. So this is a column which has been created. So how it's created? It's creating by as if, okay, one sec. So now in your from clause, see what it is giving? You are having this query written. And this whole query will give you the output as a table which acts as a virtual table. And for that table, you give the name as job. And
Okay.
this you are having or you are joining this table result with a physical table which is sales staff, which is overall table only for sales employee. This you are working with payroll and organization for getting the average salaries for sales department within the group of only sales department, and you're grouping it with job title, and that is this what you're getting this result. And this result you will be comparing with your sales staff table, which is again you are comparing whether they are earning less than 0.995% with this average salary from this table. Now this job average is already in sales staff, hence it's telling your salary is less than your average salary into 95%. And you are working with only those employees whose term date is missing, that is active employees, that is who have not left the organization. So first and foremost, let's check your sales staff table. So within your library of Orion, you have this sales staff table. So you see you have employee job title. So this is all sales people, okay,
Mm.
their salaries and all this information. Then this table you will be joining with your query, which will be calculated. So this average salary as job average, you are also using in your output query. So this will be there as a column for this.
Yeah, we created.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Mm.
And this result, you are naming it as job. That means, so to understand this,
So
let's
only one
open this.
column we created, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's fifth chapter demo. First thing is 6. So it's the same thing. See, we are calculating average job from these two tables you are joining on this criteria. So what you get this? So you are getting this as a output result. So what is your output result? You get average job salaries for each group of sales representative, and we have 4 sales representative type: 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this thing, if you want to save the same thing as a table, you know very well, instead of writing this title and all, before select, you simply write create table. You give the table name, suppose is average job sal as. Correct? So what will happen? Now because I'm writing create table as, my result is saved as a table. So how many columns it has? Job title and job average.
Mm.
Correct? So when you see this inline view, you are selecting employee name, emp dot job title, which is emp, which is sales staff. Getting it? So job title you are selecting from which table? emp. Emp is where? Orion dot sales staff.
Sales staff. Okay.
Fine.
Mm-hmm.
Salary is also coming from sales staff. Format you are giving, and job average is coming from this table.
Which we created new column.
Yes. And this table will be represented as a physical, it's not a physical table, but it will be this, because I have used create table as, but the earlier result will be saved like this, or will be created as a table in the memory. So it will hold in the memory like array grouping of your columns. So it's like just virtually grouping your columns like array, right? What
Mm.
array does it? It is really going to show you that it is grouping your columns in array?
No.
It's just a virtual thing which happens in the memory, correct?
Mm.
So same thing, this inline view is, because you have written this query in your from clause, this query executes and it will create that result as a table in the memory, and that table it's giving the name as job, and then you're joining that table which is the result of this query, which is called as view. So view is nothing but it's a virtual table, and it is created, or it's simply instructions on how a virtual table is created. So these are the instructions how a virtual table is created, hence it's called as a view. Understood now?
Yeah.
Note it down. View is instructions on creating a table or a virtual table, you say it. Instructions how to create a table. Now because this select will execute and it will give you a result which will be a virtual table, hence you call this as view. Understood now?
Yes.
And this, because you are writing in a from clause, the view is termed as inline view. That's it.
Okay.
All right, Meena?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and then rest of the thing is you are aware. So this is what was demo 6, and your demo 7 is the same query.
And why we are
You are
doing this,
writing it.
Ashwini? Because here we can select more than one column, right?
Yeah. Either
Okay.
if you don't want to write this, then what you can do is you write the whole this from clause for this columns, use this third table, this two call table, give this again like a complex join. You can keep on writing in a single from clause all this. No need of writing subqueries like inline view. Are you getting it?
Okay.
Simple, like a complex joins.
Hmm.
Instead of writing all this, you can simply write the same thing. One sec. So same thing they are telling here. Instead of that, you can use the whole thing like this. See, in a from clause, all the table, and write this where clause without using inline view. So this is the example which we are going to come, but this also is possible in case if you don't want to write inline view. This is called as complex query.
Oh, okay.
Getting it?
But this is easier, right? Than that.
Whichever you find is easy, you
Okay.
can do it. It's just an option of coding.
Okay.
Okay. So moving ahead, let's see. Now with this, you get the result that these are the employees who are earning less than 95% from its overall job title or overall average salaries within each group. See sales representative 1, each group has its individual average salaries, but these are the people who are earning from this average salary of group 1, which is less than 95%. Got it? Yes?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, fine. So there's a question here. So for example, the same query which you have written in from clause, it's called as an inline view. You are
Mm,
naming as job,
mm,
okay, and you are writing an independent select, okay, for job title and job average, and now you are writing from job. So the question here is the first select statement uses inline view to create data that is referenced in the alias job, which is here.
mm.
So can job also be referenced in the second select query? What do you think?
I think so, yeah.
Yes,
Virtual
Yes.
yes, it's a virtual table. Once it is created and
Mm.
this query is executed, it's vanished from the memory.
yeah.
So it's not more available to write in a second select. Are you getting it now?
Oh,
Because
okay.
it's not there in physical.
Yes, because it's not a physical table now. It's deleted from the
Virtual table.
memory once it is created. It's used here. It's done. The use of the first query is over. And then you are writing the second query referencing job. So it will check this as if a physical table in your work library.
But there is no physical table. Okay.
Yes. So
Okay.
main thing why views and virtual tables are used is because it saves lots of space of your memory. Storage space also. Physical storage space.
Mm-hmm.
Understood now? So
Yes.
instead of saving the whole table, which is a huge table, you can just give those code, save it as view instead
Mm.
of utilizing the space, either the storage space, physical storage space, and also the memory space. So just use it, gets deleted immediately once a virtual table is used. So your memory is also freed up.
Okay.
Okay, so your
Mm.
first select statement uses an inline view to create data that is referenced with alias job. So can job be referenced in the select statement? No.
Mm.
Second
Mm.
select, no. Why? Because an inline view can be referenced only in the select statement where it is defined. So it's created, executed, and deleted once your select is over. Second select, if you try to use it, it's no more in the memory. So
Mm.
it will refer as a physical table, not as a virtual table. All right.
Yeah.
Now understood what is the benefit of inline view. Okay. The business scenario now is management wants to incent more sales of expedition. Now before going to this business scenario, I would request you open demo for lesson 5, demo 6 and demo 7. So it's the same thing what we have seen on slides. Just go ahead and execute and see its output.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So now let's understand another business scenario for your inline views. So it's telling here management wants to incent more sales of Expedition Zero sleeping bags by rewarding each sales associate who sold these items in 2011 with a $50 certificate. Very simple scenario. So there is this product called Expedition Zero, which is a sleeping bag, and we know Orion Star is actually sports goods organization who is selling sports related items. So the sleeping bags, which is an Expedition Zero, its name, it's a rare, it's a product which was rarely been sold maybe. So the management was happy to give a reward for that sale representative who made this sale happen, okay, in the year 2011, and that person would be awarded with $50 certificate, but it will go to his manager, and then manager will be giving it to the employee. It will your higher manager never comes to individual employee directly. They always connect to your managers, and the managers will be coming to individual employee. So same thing here, management wants to incent more sales of Expedition Zero because they want this product to be sold out more. The person who had achieved the first sale, they will reward him so that the other sales representative will get active and they will be more enthusiastic to sell this product. All right. So they will search those managers under whom the sales representative have performed the sale in the year 2011 and with a reward of $50 certificate. So that's what it's telling. They found there is one individual who sold it with, and he will get a reward of $50 certificate. So the first task is we have to prepare the list of all those managers, okay, whose names and cities for those employees who qualify for the certificate. First we are going to search for the managers, fine. Then second thing what they are telling, managers with their names and cities. So for that we have four tables. So it's telling you will not get the information in single table related to your manager information, your sales information, your product information. So for Expedition Zero, you will have you will have a table which you have to use is orion product dim. Then for your manager's name and address or city information, you'll have to use employee address table. Then about the order detail, that in which year, what date that sales representative have performed the sale. So you'll have order fact table. Okay. And of course, an organization overall to get the employees detail. All right. So therefore, you'll have to write the program in such a way that you'll have to use all these four tables. So it's telling because this query involves four tables, it might not be easy to code all at once. To simplify the task, split the query into four parts. Test each part individually and test the overall query each time that a new segment is added. So these tables are queried for your query. So first and foremost, you'll have to find out for the product. Okay. So first you'll have to find the product which was sold in the year 2011. So you'll be using a table product underscore dim. Then you'll have to identify which sales employee or which employee performed that sale. So you'll find it with the order fact information. Then you'll find the manager who is for whom this employee is reporting. And of course, you'll get the manager's information. Once you get the manager ID from your address table, for that manager ID or for that manager also has an employee ID. For that employee ID, his name and his city information. So this is where you'll be writing the 3 steps for your upcoming business scenario. Are you getting it now? Simple, right?
Yeah.
Pragati?
Yes, yes. Let's see like
Okay,
how it's working in coding.
okay. So this is what we are going to do. So first part is you want to find out your employee ID who has performed this sale for this product. So your product name is Expedition Zero Merchandise in the year 2011. So select employees identifier, that is employee ID, from the results of joining order fact and product underscore dim, where the product name and product ID. So product ID and product name contains, the product name is Expedition Zero, and we are going to work with only that information where the sale was performed via retail sale, because internet and catalog sale we do not have sales representative coming into picture. Agreed?
Hmm.
Hmm.
So because wherever there is an in-person involvement, only that person is going to get this award. Hence, it is going to be your retail sale. So exclude internet and catalog order. Therefore, employee ID not with all this 999. So what is this not equal to 999 means? We are not going to include any employees who have performed the sale for internet and catalog, because internet and catalog there are no employees. Hence this is actually universal number, that in case if we do not have any employee ID in SAS, we cannot use 0, correct? Hence we give this
9.
universal 999. So it's how many times 9? It's nearly 8 times or 9 times 9. Okay, so this will always be there in your working scenarios also. In case if you do not have any values, or there is an upcoming value in future, it will get added. Never keep blank, or they never keep give it as 0. They always put this 9 times 9. All
8.
right,
Yeah.
8 times. Okay, fine. So this is how it is. So first thing, we are going to work with these two tables for order fact and product name to find out which employee has performed this sale for expedition 0 in the year 2011. Hence, distinct employee ID from orion.order fact as OF, you're giving its alias, comma, orion.product name, you're giving the alias as P, where product ID is similar with product ID from order fact and product name. And you are going to extract the year from your order date, where the value is 2011, and the product name contains expedition 0 and employee ID not equal to this. So you are returning with this query with one employee ID who has performed the sale in the year 2011 for this product. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So this query is giving you your employee ID. Now the second part is you have to find his upline manager to whom he is reporting. Hence, find the employee identifier for the managers of these employees. So we know the managers are also the employee of that organization. So you will have or employee organization table to be used to find out the employee ID for your particular manager. Agreed. So the same organization, last time, if you remember, we read it twice, one for employee ID and one for as a manager ID. So it's telling select manager's identifier from the result of joining employee organization table with the first query result for employee ID. So what are you doing now? So see, you're writing a query, but before writing a query, the question is to join your employee organization table in the first query result, you use the query from first step as which of the following. So this was your first step query where you got employee ID which performed the sale for expedition 0. So with this query, how you are going to join your employee organization table? Is it that you will going to use as inline view, or as a subquery, or a non-correlated subquery, either A or B, or neither A or B?
A and inline.
Inline view. Understand how inline view it will give.
It will give us, okay, it will give us a virtual table. It will not give.
So what it's telling, this was your query of the first result.
Hmm.
So obviously you can use as an subquery. So you can use this as a subquery where you're selecting a distinct employee, and this employee you are passing on with your outer query for your organization or employee dot organization table. Correct? So we can use it as either or a subquery as well as a inline view also.
But if we use inline view, so first we'll do first select, then create virtual, then for next select it will work.
See, see. This is what it's telling. So you're using your step one query as an inline view here,
Hmm.
and you're giving the name as ID. So you're returning with one employee ID.
Hmm.
Okay. So write a query to obtain the manager ID of your employee's manager. So to get this manager ID, you have written this as an inline view. So this ID you will joining with organization on the basis of O.employee ID is equal to employee ID dot ID. So ID dot employee ID.
So
So
instead of
what is this ID?
is
Yeah.
equal to dot employee underscore ID, we will be using this ID.
Yeah, so this
Yeah.
query you are giving the name as ID, right?
ID. But
Yeah.
in
So this
where's table
virtual
could,
table.
yeah.
So you are joining this two as if this is a physical table. You are joining this with this on the basis of common column, which is employee ID,
Mm.
and you will be returning a manager who ID from this. So this is what it's telling. You'll get one manager ID.
Mm. This is
Correct?
easy. Mm.
Yeah.
This is subquery.
So now this is write a query to obtain your manager ID. But now you want this manager ID's information. What is his information? His name and which city he resides. So again, this result you have to write it with employee employee address table. Correct? So now third part is find the manager's name and cities. So select your employee's name and city from your employee address table where employee ID matches your manager ID. Why? Because manager ID is actually an employee for the organization. Obviously, he is going to have his employee ID in this address table. Correct?
Mm.
Right? So
Mm.
that is what now you are doing it where manager ID. So now again a question.
This is
Setup
easy.
for the four. Is it possible to use the entire query in step 2 as a subquery? That is this, what we have written.
Is it possible to create
Whole
Or
thing can be written as a subquery.
correlated subquery.
Yeah, because it's selecting it's going to result only with a single column.
Mm.
manager ID?
Correct.
Mm.
Hmm.
So question is yes. So subquery can return values for multiple rows, but must return value only for a single
One
column.
column. Hmm.
So when submitted on its own, the query in step 2 returns one row and one column. So it can be used as a non-correlated subquery. So this
Mm.
is what you use it. You are selecting employee name. Okay, you're formatting it, giving the name column as name, city from orion dot employee address, where employee ID in your subquery. And your subquery is all this. Correct?
Mm.
And you get from this result of subquery one manager ID. And for this manager ID, now you'll get his name and city from address table. Correct?
Yeah.
So this is what ultimately the complex query looks like overall. Okay, overall. So this you get. The manager is
Overall means
Lansbury
like all
Terrace.
together, right? Can
All
you?
together, yes.
Okay.
Combination. See, this is slight highlighted. So this was your inline view, and this whole thing as a subquery in
So,
your where clause for your orion.employee address.
so this is subquery in like in subquery, right? Like what is that
Yeah,
called?
this is subquery. Within subquery, you have written
Subquery.
inline view.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay. So this is where you get this manager city and his name. So same thing if you want to achieve, you simply write in your from clause all the tables like this and join on different columns like this and give this criteria. You will result to the same thing.
This is easy.
Yeah.
So
Simple, honestly.
this was just like giving you all the insights that you can use subqueries with your inline views just to save the resources.
Mm.
To use subqueries or inline views. Either which ways you can use physical tables. So when you use physical table, there is lot of utilization of your resources. So sometimes your resource utilization is high. So your result being fetching in may take a huge time.
To
So
save
it's
memory, yeah, that one is
absolutely yes.
better than this. Okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
Mm.
Because now here, because you are
They're
working
creating
into a
table.
classroom. Yeah, you are working into a classroom training. These are short tables, so it's all fine. But
Mm.
when you're working on huge tables,
Hmm.
it would be difficult. So it's better to use inline views and subqueries.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
that's it. So this was all about inline views. So you can quickly go through this demonstrations like demo 8, demo 9, demo 10, and demo 11. All right, 8 to
Okay.
11, all the demonstrations.
8 to 11. Okay.
recording. So with this chapter, it's done with our, or with this topic, we have done with this our chapter with inline views. Post this, you have exercise. So I would request you to go through the demos and the exercise, work on the exercise. In case any issues, please ask me whenever you have time. Either, you can either write to me also. And on Friday morning, we'll be meeting again to cover up our next lesson, which is chapter 7, creating tables and views. Okay, so here we'll see how one can create tables. Now you are aware with create table statement, but we'll see there was one demo where you were creating the tables with passing on the values. Okay, so there we were inserting rows and we were creating columns. So that is also one phase of SQL where you can create tables. And of course, now with SQL, you'll see how one can create view as well. Okay, so these are the two topics which we'll be covering in your chapter number 7. All right, so for today, we'll stop for the day. So wish you all good day. Thanks attending the day and the session. Bye and take care. So we'll resume on Friday for continuation for chapter 7. Thank you very
Yes.
much.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you,
If
Bye.
you
Shreya.
Thank you.
stop
Yes.
recording, I just want to ask something.